Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. In this video, I'd like to share with you how to make texture in your projects. Now, texture can be either visual texture, where it's something that just looks like it has some sort of pattern happening there, or you can actually put physical texture into your artwork and make it a lot more interesting. The beautiful thing about texture is the light will reflect off of it and increase the attractivity. Oh gosh,
Attractivity?
Attractivity, I don't even know what the right word is, will increase the visual intricacy and elegance and, you know, the impact that your artwork has. Gosh, that was tough to get out, but so I want to share that with you. So sometimes, a lot of times I would like to increase or incorporate or add or include pattern and texture in my artwork because it makes it more interesting to build, to make, and to look at. And artwork, I do so much of it. I'm always looking for new ways and different ways to increase the impact of my pieces. So I've got a bunch of different examples here of ways that I would incorporate some texture. So let's start with this one right here. This is from one of my videos called Free Flow, and it's a kind of an aspen tree inspired design. It's about 3/8 of an inch thick. This piece is made with a free flow. A free flow is where you put the glass in the kiln and you heat it, you stack it really high and thick, and you heat it to the point where it melts together and spreads and creates kind of your own glass pattern. Hold on, I've got a bug trying to bite me. Not anymore. Okay, so we're having a ridiculous day here in the studio. We just spent half an hour trying to get a female cardinal out of the space into safety outside the building. And now I have a bug trying to bite me. So another day in life here in the studio, having fun, talking to you, welcome you here to the studio and sharing some new ideas with you. Let's get back to this piece. Okay, so Free Flow, aspen inspired. So on the back side, I actually fused this on top of 1/8 inch thick fiber paper. And I made a design that looks like aspen leaves and tree limbs. And then I fired the paper on top of that. Wow, are we having a day here in the studio? Our parrot fish just hit the deck. Oh gosh. All right, well, moving on. Let me get some fiber paper, show you what that looks like. With the net flying around the studio getting that bird out of here, nothing got damaged, so I suppose something had to go sooner or later. Anyway, let me go over here and get some fiber paper for you. All right, this is 1/8 inch thick fiber paper. You can see it has a nice thickness to it, nice density. It's kind of rigid, easy to work with. You cut it with either an X-Acto knife or with scissors. And I cut out these little designs. I'm gonna be really a lot more careful here. Cut out these designs and then fire the glass on top of it, and the paper leaves an impression in the glass. You can actually see, if you get closer to these, you can see the texture from the paper in the glass, kind of like paper or cardboard. But here the impression is embossed in, and here I use the fiber paper around the outside so that these pieces kind of stick out from the back of the artwork. So you get a good idea of what it looks like right here. Now let me show it to you in the light. Being very careful not to knock anything else over. But can you see that? How that pattern really adds a nice detail to this piece of artwork. You've got the kind of almost a watercolor look of leaves and limbs here, and then here we've got the coloration with frit to show the leaves, and then we also have this addition of that texture on the back. Here it's embossed out, here embossed in. So a really fun way to add some really nice interest to your pieces. All right, so this one, the texture is made with 1/8 inch thick fiber paper. Now fiber paper comes in a variety of thicknesses. The 1/8 inch is really great for embossing. I don't use it as a shelf protector underneath my glass when I'm firing unless I'm gonna do some texture, because it's more expensive material and I save it for when I can use it and really benefit from that thickness. Now this piece right here is a cheese tray. I'm gonna bring it over here because we're trying to make sure that you can see this really well. So I've got a nice big light here. So Nikki, you tell me if it's showing well or what I need to do.
Looks good.
Okay, so this is an 1/8 inch by 8 inch square, 2 pieces of clear glass fused together on top of fiber blanket. Now let me put this down. Well, let me turn it over so you can see that texture. You tell me when I have it where they can see it really well. Are you getting it?
Yes and no. Like, the camera doesn't really do it justice. There's like depths and valleys here.
Okay, how about if we hold it like
Oh, yeah, there.
that?
Well,
You
I
guys
hope you get the idea.
Yeah. All right, it's like as if you fired your glass on top of a blanket, like on top of a towel. Okay, it's exactly the kind of texture we're getting. It doesn't always show. Let me hold this up over here, hold it up to the light. Can you see it now? The texture now?
You just got dark. Oh, there you go.
Okay. What do you think? Can I bring it closer? All right, we're having some issues with this piece because it's clear, trying to get it so that you can really see what's happening here. But you know, that's part of the process of us bringing these different techniques to you, is figuring out how to make them visible for you as well as attractive to try. How about that?
Yeah.
There? Yes, there?
As best you can on camera.
Okay, well anyway, we're trying. Let me show you what fiber blanket looks like. All right, hold that there. All right, over here, let me see. Here we go. This is fiber blanket. Now this is just a little scrunched up piece, but it's like you would imagine the same type of similar material you use when you're sewing to put between two pieces of fabric to make like a blanket. So it's like batting material or whatever. It's now all these materials we're talking about here are purchased at your art glass supplier, and they're high refractory materials, meaning they can withstand the heat in a kiln, not burst into flame, and do some sort of process job for you. So keep in mind, all these materials we're talking about are purchased at your art glass supplier, and they're specific materials to go inside a kiln. So a lot of fun with this technique, very easy to do. You simply lay a piece of fiber blanket on the shelf, you place your glass on top of it, you fire it like you normally would, and you get this fabulous texture. The other cool thing about it is you get a little bit of an irregular edge, which is kind of fun. Here, I can show you the edge this way. See that edge quality there is a little different, and that's kind of cool. Look at a nice weirdo edge quality happening down here. And I glued these 4 nuggets on so that when it lays on the table, it gives it a little bit of lift. You get your fingers underneath it to pick it up. And this has 3 grape leaves and a little cluster of grapes here, little pieces of purple to represent a cluster of grapes, some leaves, and then these are bent stringers that represent kind of a vine. So real fun project, super easy. 2 pieces of 1/8 inch clear fired on top of fiber blanket, you get this fabulous texture. Now, I have found that this technique shows best on transparent, very transparent, like clear glass, or super light colors, like a very pale amber, very pale green. When the color glass starts getting deeper, you don't see that texture through it. So my recommendation here would be to go with clear glass or something very pale and transparent. This project over here is part of my gallery series. I have had work in about 100 different galleries throughout the country, and this was one of my best selling pieces. So it's a 12-inch piece of black on top of clear, and then there's 4 4-inch squares of black with dichroic glass on top. So this is fused independently, and then these 4 pieces are fired independently, and then these 4 pieces are glued on top of this black here. Now the reason I did this 12-inch piece is it makes the artwork bigger. Bigger represents more money and more wall space that it occupies. So the texture here is produced by gluing these pieces on top of this smooth black, but also here, when you put dichroic on top, now this is an iridized black, these are green, these pieces are dichroic. When you put glass on top of iridized, like I've done here, and glass on top of dichroic, like I have done here, dichroic and iridized are both glass with a very thin metal coating on top that does not give. It doesn't allow material that's on top to sink into it and become smooth. You end up with this beautiful raised texture. So the texture here is created by the specific materials that I'm using, by gluing these pieces onto the black, and also by doing a slightly lighter firing. You notice you can see these seams here, that they're very apparent. So this was slightly hotter than a tack fuse, probably a contour fuse, which would be around, let's see, tack fuse is 1365, so it's probably somewhere around maybe 1400, 1375, somewhere around there, in that range. You'd have to try it in your own kiln and see what temperature works best for you and your materials and the technique that you're trying to create. But so here I'm creating texture in this firing by using specific materials together in combination and by using a slightly lower firing temperature, and then by gluing these pieces on top of that background piece, which is completely smooth. So let me hold this up for you. You get a nice idea of that color there and how that just shines so beautifully. Isn't that just awesome? Another thing I'd like to show you is how I hang this piece. Oh, look, there's a bug on it. I have 2 sawtooth hangers glued on with E6000. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting, it's dicey out here today. And then we have these 2 rubber bump-ons, little things you put on the bottom of maybe a glass, a coaster, or on a glass vase or something to prevent it from scratching the table. Well, these keep the glass a little distance away from the wall, so these help keep that glass from sliding, moving, and so it puts less pressure on these hooks. These are glued on with E6000. If you have a different adhesive that works as well or better for you, by all means use it, because this piece is pretty heavy. It's got a lot of weight to it, so however you choose to hang it, you want to make sure that it is secure. So, great, beautiful wall piece. This is part of a series. There's another one that goes next to it. The reason that these are 4-inch pieces instead of 12-inch like this whole thing is because the 12-inch represents one big piece of art, which means, you know, higher perceived value, worth more money to sell. Also takes up more wall space, so it's a bigger representation of art. By doing these smaller four pieces that kind of work together, I am using less dichroic material, which of course we all know is the expensive material. And by separating them, it's giving the art a different type of look, a tiled sort of look, which is really interesting. I'd also like to mention the way I've done the pattern and the design, and I'm just bumping this stuff all over here today. And I didn't even have coffee today, can you believe it? All right, so notice the design is diagonal. This is an arch here, which is kind of fun, breaks up all the squareness. And then over here, we've got these squares, but they're at an angle. So some of these pieces are kind of fun shapes. So real easy to make, and these are just 2-inch squares. So real easy to make, but by having the design slightly offside, off kilter a little bit, makes it far more interesting. So keep that in mind. Do squares, but don't have a square design on top of a square perimeter shape. Can make something really, really exciting. All right, another way to create texture is to fire your glass in such a way over a mold that gives it a pattern or a texture or a certain kind of relief or design or shape that adds to the artwork and gives it a wonderful texture. These are 3 pieces, 3 clear pieces, about a 1/2 inch wide by 11 inches long. I made a design horizontally across the pieces. It's a combination of some cut glass, some twisted cane here, some dichroic strips, more twisted cane, some dichroic here on top of blue, some twisted cane right here on top of dichroic, which is really exciting. Some dichroic here with clear on top of it. So the texture here, the visual texture here is the twisted cane, which is really pretty, gives it a nice light, airy kind of look, and it gives it a 3-dimensional quality because that twisted cane, you can see it kind of on the surface of the glass and rolling around and going underneath the glass, which is a really fun visual texture. So it doesn't really have physical texture, but a visual there. So the physical texture comes because I took these 3 pieces, I slumped them over the same mold. It's a mold that has a wavy pattern to it. Slumped them over the same mold, then I glued them to a single piece of glass in such a way that I staggered the design. So you have this fabulous texture going on here. I'll show you the back side. This is a piece of clear glass, slumped, hold it this way so you can see it a little bit better, slumped over a piece of fiberboard to give it texture. And so I glued these pieces to the clear. You can see the glue here where it's holding it together. This area and this area hold the artwork away from the wall. When it's away from the wall, you get better light through it. And you'll also get a reflection on the wall if the wall is a light color, like a white or a bone or something. And then I glued a sawtooth hanger on here just like I did over here on this one. But look at that fabulous design and that fabulous texture we're getting there. So here the texture is by how it was designed, slumped, and then assembled. So a multi-step process here, but still very effective and just a really spectacular piece. This is actually one of my favorites and one of my students' favorites when we make this in some of my classes. So that one's just awesome. And of course it mounts on the wall like this. So it's beautiful. And then show you this way, that nice texture there. Isn't that just awesome? Great piece For gallery work, great piece for a gift because it's a nice manageable size to hang somewhere. It's a manageable size to pack and ship, and it's really sturdy. So great for all those things. Another way you can add texture, this is a video we just put out a couple weeks ago on how to weave glass. So you take your glass, these pieces right here, and you bend them, melt them, and slump them over a mold to give them this texture. Let's move this stuff out of the way. And then you take a strip, you run it through the pieces, and then all of this is fired to a tack fuse temperature so that the glass is hot enough to stick together and be secure and sturdy. But
Was that the video that there was confusion?
yes, about the temperature. The tack fuse is 1365 for COE 96. So tack 1365 for COE 96. This is just one of those days. Anyway, so tacked together so that hot enough that the glass will bend, it'll stick together, you'll get a beautiful shiny edge and nice polished edge on these pieces, but you retain the texture. If this were taken to a full fuse, which you certainly could do, you wouldn't have this texture. What I love about the texture is the way the light reflects off of it. And you can, even where you are looking at this video, you can kind of feel that texture even though you can't touch it, because of that, the way the light's bouncing off it, and it's just so beautiful. So that's a really fun way to add texture. Now, why would you want to add texture? Because it's fun. Why would you want to add texture? Because it makes your pieces look awesome. Now you can take any of these techniques and combine them to make your own piece. So you could take this technique here, combine it in this or this or this or whatever. So just start doing it. It's so much fun. All right, we already talked about this piece. I'm going to very carefully move this out of the way for a minute so I can talk about this piece right here.
As you knock down that piece.
Knocked down that one. Oh my, I'm moving all of these away from the edge of the table a little bit because I don't know what's going on here today. All right, so let's talk about this piece. And Nikki and I are just talking about this video and how it's going today, and we're thinking to ourselves, we just made a whole bunch. This video could be a blooper video of all the crazy things happening here today. The bird in the studio, thank goodness, my grandbaby, he's inside, he's napping, and he's sleeping through all this, which is phenomenal and wonderful. He's here. Now there's a bug in my head.
There's bugs.
There's bugs. There's birds. Oh my gosh. We have talking children, and now we have a car coming down the street. And we had a bunch of crows come by and have a convention here in the yard. Let's talk about this fabulous piece right here. This project is a lantern. It's a 4 by 8 inch piece of work. It is from my video Luminescence. Now these are, I started by making these beautiful little stones. One of the things I love about glass fusing, or any art, is if a person goes up to the project and says, wow, they're enthralled by the imagery or the material, and then they say, people come up to say, oh, that's cool, you glue stones together. Then they realize it's glass. And it's like, it's glass. So they are invited by the project first, invited by the imagery of it, the shape of it, what it's conveying to them first, and then they realize what it's made out of, and that's really cool. So this is made by taking a whole bunch of, this glass is a Euroboros glass, which is now made by Yucca Haney, a COE 96. Bullseye probably has a very similar material. It's a gray, white, and black mix, kind of streaky opal. Every one of these pieces represents a piece of clear on the bottom, and then this beautiful patterned glass on top. Those are full fused together. This is a glass that has like a root beer kind of color, very yummy looking. And it transitions in some areas to this nice amber, to areas where it's milky, creamy white, to areas where it's kind of deep in color, like right here and right here where the color kind of gets deeper. So I made a bowl out of this technique, and it was just spectacular. And people just thought, oh my gosh, you glued rocks together. No, it's glass. And then they're like, fabulous. And the gray, gray is a very popular color to decorate with right now, as well as white. So I thought, let me just put the two neutrals that pretty much everybody works with together and do a combination. So I'm really thrilled with the way that came out. So I made a bunch of these stones, a bunch of these. There's 4 different sides to this lantern. You see the bottom, it's a piece of clear glass that holds it all together. So I make the 4 individual panels, 4 inches by 8 inches. I take all these little stones, the stones are fired to a full fuse first independently on their own on the kiln shelf.
They make like nuggets.
Yeah, they look like rocks on the shelf, on the kiln shelf. You know, I'll include a photo so you can see that. And this piece is from my video, Luminescence. So if you would like to learn how to make this, you can get that video and learn, and it's really a fun technique. Anyway, each of these are made individually and fired individually on a shelf that look like I have a bunch of stones on the kiln shelf. Then I draw an 8" by 4" rectangle on another kiln shelf after these come out. I lay all the stones, the glass stones side by side within that pencil line, and I tack fuse it together. Now I have these 4 panels. Then I take those 4 panels, I sometimes grind the edge so they fit nicely, and I glue them together around this clear base. So this has visual texture because it has these little openings here. And this is smooth and rounded, and then these kind of flatten out. I'll show you the inside here. You can see that these are kind of flat on the inside, but they're textured on the outside. So this has texture because of the way that these are made and that they're tack fused together, but they're round in nature instead of linear like these. It also has texture because you can see through these little openings there, which is very cool. And it also has texture because of the 3-dimensional shape. And then also this gives it nice texture because we have an irregular top edge here, which I think is really, really graceful and pretty. So another way to create texture is by, you know, how you create your pieces, how you assemble them, and then how you put your project together, and then how you represent it, display, and show it off. All right, so physical texture here, visual texture. Just love the feel of this. I wish you guys could, you know, could feel this. It's just so beautiful. And when the light is in it, there's all these little ribbons of beautiful light that come out of it. It's just really spectacular. So lanterns, great way to use glass in new places. Little cubby, you know, little table by the front door, coffee table on your back porch, on your table out there. Get beautiful light and also have something beautiful to look at. So a lot of fun projects there. All right, so we talked about all these with physical texture. Let's talk about visual texture. This is a project that we recently posted on YouTube, how to feather Fuser's Reserve glass right here. Now this project is completely smooth. There's no physical texture here. But because of the way this glass is laid out and because the nature of the look of that glass, it has visual texture to it, which makes the piece more interesting. Now look over here, this kind of taupey color is kind of bland. You know, if you want plain, if you want neutral, you know, go to IKEA. This is not me. My house is full of color. I love color. I live for color. Color is my life. Oh my gosh.
Kitchen is lime green.
Yes, my kitchen is actually asparagus green. And I love it. And other people say, oh my gosh, Lisa, you're the only one that can get away with that. And it looks great. The cabinetry is red. Walls are green. Red and green are complementary colors. Just happen to be cherry red and nice bright green. So I love it. And it's very zesty and makes me hungry. Matter of fact, I'm getting hungry now. But okay, so physical texture, not on this one. Not on this one, just visual texture, but isn't it just beautiful? Doesn't it add a nice something to the art? Let's put this one in the stand. All right, so why would you want to add texture to your pieces? Okay, number one, it's fun to do. Number two, it makes the pieces far more interesting and exciting. Number three, you can combine different techniques to take your work to the next level. You can do it in any way, shape, form, fashion you want to, but you might want to consider adding some texture, adding some shape, some contour, something to your pieces in addition to what you're already doing to make them more exciting. Again, this type of technique and this technique seems to show better on bright, remember I said this one shows best on clear or light transparent glasses. Right here you can see that it's not showing up as well in this dark field, plus I have some opal colors there. It shows up on the lighter colors better than it does on the darker colors. So you're going to want to experiment with that. Maybe do some small pieces first, try it, see what works for you, what color you want to work with before you go bigger. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little background into how and why I introduced texture, physical, visual, both in combination, because it makes some of the pieces more interesting and a lot more fun to make. And that's one of the things I love about glass fusing is I'm still learning. And when you do that, combine different things together, it makes it far more fascinating, fun, and exciting to work with, which we just love. In other words, I'm never going to get tired of this medium. I'm always coming up with some new way to use it, and now you have a new way to use it too. So we had a fatality here in the glass studio today. One of my beautiful pieces, a parrot fish, took a dive. Rest in peace, Parrot Fish. Come on over here, I'll let you see the mess. This is a real day in the studio. Look over here. Can you see this? Can you see it? Oh my goodness, right here on my...
It's a classic too.
I know, man. This is from my painting with frit video. I mean, gosh, what do you think? We're gonna use this for something? Maybe we do. Look, well, so the lesson in this piece, if I can find anything that goes back together, there's his eye. Oh, here we go. Look, okay, here we go. Hello, how are you? Hello. All right, so the lesson in this piece is visual texture. Okay, can you see all the texture I've created here by using different sizes of frit? It's smooth, it's taken to a full fuse temperature, so there's no actual physical texture here, but that looks textury there. And look, when I hold this up against the white, this is supposed to be coral, like a brain coral. I used frit, powdered frit on there, and I took a dry paintbrush, wiped it through the frit to give it what looks like a coral texture. So you can create texture with frit by using it, applying it to your glass, using different sizes. I also would like to show you that when you use different sizes of frit, like this is a coarse, this is fine, this is medium here. The different sizes, there's no texture there, but you do get a different visual look by using different sizes of frit to help accentuate, pattern out, detail your artwork. The pattern fish was made out of a pretty kind of solid blue. Actually, it was completely made out of frit. Here you can see from the back. It was all made out of frit. So what I would do on that project, and again, this is from my painting with frit video, what I would do here is cut all the background pieces so that there's this beautiful shape of a parrotfish, because the frit, if it's near the edge, will not give you a really crisp line unless it's contained somehow. So like this piece of coral right here is cut with a saw, and then this whole area is all filled in with frit. So, and I explain all that in that video if you're interested in making something like this. But I don't know what we're going to do with this. It may be another video, who knows. But I'd like to thank you for joining me today. This has been fun. We have all sorts of craziness happening out here in the studio, but that's what it's like out here in the studio. Another fun day. Another fun day hanging out with you. So thanks for joining me. Please make sure you follow my YouTube channel so that you can get notifications of all these videos when they come out. Nikki, I'm the talking head up here explaining everything, but Nikki does all the magic in the background. So she will put little things in this video to show you where you can find, what are they called, Nikki?
I don't know, like little tabs or little pop-ups.
There'll be little pop-ups in this video showing you where you can find the YouTube videos of the projects that we talked about here. We'll put in there information on the videos that these projects are from. This particular piece is one of my premium video membership projects, and it's a double video with 2 different projects in it. A lot of fun, great technique. It's called Cheese Trays. So we will have all that in the video. I'm also going to have a blog that will be in the same vein as all of this to give you the same information, as well as where you can find these different projects, whether they're available through a video or whether they're available through YouTube. So please follow my YouTube channel. We would love that. Also, please consider becoming a premium video member. We would love to have you. You get exclusive content. We have new projects coming out all the time. There's step-by-step video instruction, plus there's a full-size printable pattern ebook with patterns, images, firing guides, material lists, everything you need to complete those projects. So we would love to have you. We're up to 65 premium annual members on our Wall of Flame. We would love to make that 100. So join us. We would love to have you. And until next time, try not to knock your glass over. Try to be careful in your studio.
Don't let the birds in.
Don't let the birds in. And don't let anything stop you. Okay? We didn't let anything stop us here today from having a great time and bringing you this video with all of its perfect imperfections. And until next time, happy fusing.